So, okay, real quick before we go, I stumbled upon this playlist called Fiery and Spicy Sex, and it's got 70 songs in it, and every single one of them is Gangnam Style by Psy. Every single one.
Earlier I was peeking just when I was talking, but
yeah,
you know me, I have, one could say, a laugh.
The peakster, as we call you.
Yeah, I peek mics left and right. Can't let me anywhere near a microphone.
You're the best peeker I know.
They call me Peeking Tom.
Yeah, that's pretty epic.
So like if I was like, oh, that did peak. That did still peak. I turned my mic so far down and that still peaked. So if I laugh, I just need to like lean back. Anyway, how are you, Ryan?
You know, I'm doing. How are you?
This is a weird start.
This is well, we haven't technically started yet because we haven't said welcome to Ryan and Jason talk about things.
But it's a weird cold open then. Like the cold open will be us talking about microphone peaking.
Yeah, my microphone peaked in high school.
We're letting you into the behind the scenes. We're giving you a glimpse behind the curtain to see how the magic is done.
That's right.
This very, very illustrious podcast.
That's right. Consider yourself lucky. Should feel blessed.
So, yeah, how's life, dude?
It's it's all things considered going pretty decent. Been listening to a lot of the Adventure Zone. I can't
For real? Wait, whoa, no way! Why are you listening to the Adventure Zone in the year of our Lord 2023, and why have you not listened to it before now?
I don't know, but it's hysterical, and I love it. It's amazing.
Okay. Okay, well, we have our whole episode now.
Yeah.
So, how did you...
It's like... It's hysterical. I've been listening to it at work because I have nothing else to do, and I feel weird because I laugh in the middle of the library sometimes, and I'm like, I hope nobody judges me too harshly.
The Adventure Zone is one of my favorite works of fiction and media of all time. It's so good. Where are you at? Good. Where are you at in the story?
I am in the Lost Century.
Oh my gosh, you're almost done. Jeez, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I can talk to you about almost everything then. Dang, like when did you start it?
Yesterday?
No,
that's a joke. I didn't start.
There aren't enough hours in the day to get to like freaking episode 40 or 50 or wherever you're at.
I started it like a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 weeks.
Dude, it's freaking good. For our listeners at home, the Adventure Zone. Well, how would you describe the Adventure Zone?
I would say, first off, ditch this podcast and go listen to the Adventure Zone.
For real talk.
I would describe
objectively
it
better
as
in every way.
A group of goofs. A group of goofs playing D&D, and they have generally really good chemistry, and they make a lot of funny jokes, and you should enjoy those jokes because they're really funny.
So, I don't know where you schmucks listeners stand on like real play D&D and D&D podcasts, but yes, the McElroy brothers and their father have incredible chemistry and are very gifted comedians, and they're just downright goofy guys, and they're very funny. And B, legitimately one of the best stories like I've ever read. One of my favorite stories in media. And not to say that it's perfect, but it just does some things that I've never seen a story do before. Like you know now, you're in the Lost Century. Like the big twist of you were the antagonists all along, like, and then we're gonna freaking go back and reclaim all your lost memories, and we're gonna have a whole arc that's just what's been happening, with all the things that you forgot. It's freaking fantastic. It's very good. It's very well built up to. It's very unique. It's such a good story. The characters are so great.
Very
so
clever.
Freaking good. Oh.
Yeah, would highly recommend. I think probably my favorite arc so far was the 11th Hour.
It has to be. The 11th Hour is amazing.
That was so good. That one was so good. Incredible.
So
incredible.
I so when I was in high school is when I first listened to the Adventure Zone. The Adventure Zone Balance. Sure. Balance is the campaign that we're talking about right now, the first one that they did.
Yeah.
And Balance, the story of Balance is so freaking good that they're actually still in the process of making graphic novel adaptations of it. 11th Hour actually came out like a couple months ago, and I haven't read it yet, and I'm very excited to whenever I'm able to.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
They're pretty good. The adaptations are pretty good. But I as we've talked at length on this podcast, I'm working on one video essay. I have plenty of video essays I'd like to make, and my intention behind them is to summarize. The main focus is to summarize works of media that I really, really like. That maybe like. It's fine to be like, hey, go listen, go consume this story, but it's also I just really like summarizing things. I like talking about things and why I like them, so it's fun. The Adventure Zone Balance is something I'd love to do that with. Do like a really, really granular summary of it because it's fantastic.
It's so good.
Oh, it's freaking good. I might do that a little bit right now. So help me out here, dude. You have three adventurers. Their names are Magnus Burn. Isn't it Burnsides?
it's Magnus Burnsides, Merle the Hammer High Church,
the Hammer High Church,
and
Taako.
Spelled Taako.
Taako the elf, Magnus the human. Well, you have a Taako the elf wizard, Magnus the human fighter, and Merle the dwarf cleric. And they start as any great D&D campaign does, with literally no backstory. They just are on a job together. They're just adventuring or something. And the first arc, there's freaking Gundren. They have to go help out a dwarf who went missing in a cave, and they meet an orc lady named Killian who's like, yo, I'm looking for some artifact in this cave. Y'all better get out of my way. And then they find the artifact, and it's the Phoenix Fire Gauntlet? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And then the dwarf, the Gundren, the dwarf that doesn't really matter, but the dwarf they were looking for, puts it on and turns into a big fireball. And
first he turns into a giant flaming dwarf, and then a big fireball.
And in that order,
it's a key difference.
And it's basically the protagonist's fault that he then subsequently obliterates off the map an entire town.
Yes.
And not many actual play podcasts I've ever heard that start with the protagonists committing mass murder.
Well,
and then
yeah, I mean, actually, that's a good point.
Not on that scale. I mean, murder hobos is one thing.
Yeah.
And then they learn that the orc lady is part of this like secret organization that is
called the
working the Bureau of Balance. Oof. And they're working to like reclaim the What are you saying?
No, never mind. Ignore me.
Okay, I'm gonna ignore you, and I'm gonna keep talking about this great story.
Yes, sorry.
They learned that the orc Killian is working for the Bureau of Balance, who are working to find these artifacts, and there's these certain like insanely powerful, dangerous artifacts scattered around the world. They're trying to find them and contain them because they cause mass destruction. The thing is, nobody knows about these artifacts because literally the best idea in the entire story is there's this creature called the Void Fish that the Bureau of Balance has. It's this giant, awesome jellyfish, and when you feed it information, it it can erase that information from the world's knowledge. Like everyone in the world will forget about that thing, that person, that place, except for people who have been inoculated with the voidfish's ichor. So
it's juices.
It's delicious fluids. So there's this secret organization that uses the voidfish to make people forget about these artifacts so that they'll stop killing each other over them and stop destroying things with them. And then they've been trying to reclaim them. The problem is they really suck at their job, and they haven't reclaimed a single artifact because they need their trusty heroes to join the organization and then go on these quests and do it for them. Yeah. And and then you have I guess 6 arcs, including that first one where they go and reclaim 6 different artifacts. And the first you listen to like the first 3, and they're really good and they're very funny. And it's like, haha, this is a great comedy. And then in the 4th arc, when they're getting the 4th artifact, the DM is like, that's Crystal Kingdom.
Yeah. Okay.
The DM, then it's like, okay, actually, I've got a big overarching story and I've got big plans that there've been a couple of hints at, but the 4th arc is when it really starts becoming more important.
Starts becoming cohesive.
And then the 5th arc is just an incredible work of fiction. It's like the best time loop story ever told.
Yeah, it's really good. It's so I can't
good.
recommend it enough.
I love.
And it's got a baller ending.
Mm-hmm. And a baller soundtrack because
that too. Yeah, I like Purple Worm.
Griffin.
I would listen to that still.
And friggin' Griffin. Mr. Griffin only writes music for the Adventure Zone. McElroy is such a freaking prodigy that he only writes music like every 6 months, and it's the most incredible freaking crap you've ever heard. Have you heard the Ethersea theme? For the Adventure Zone Ethersea?
No, I haven't.
You don't need to listen to Ethersea yet, obviously, because you have other things, you have balance to finish, but you just need to listen to the theme song for Ethersea. It's one of the greatest, like it works extraordinarily well as like a theme song, like an opening theme.
Yeah.
I don't think it would work if it was like, oh, this song is so good, we're gonna extend it and to make it like 5 minutes long, make it a full song. I don't know how well it would work as that. But I'm just going to put it in the Discord, and maybe you can listen to it later. Or maybe we just pause recording for 3 minutes so you can listen to it. But anyway, it's freaking art. It's so good. It's like, it's not just like, oh, this is a great song. The composition is so good. But like the sound design and the like, it's just go listen to it. Everybody just pause this, go listen to the TAZ Ethersea theme. It's just a beautiful work of electronic music. Anyway,
that's TAZ spelled TAZ.
The Adventure Zone Ethersea theme. Anyway, so Arc 5, the 11th hour is good. It's very good. And at the end, the ending is freaking bonkers. And it's so good. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna spoil all of it because I love it so much. So the bad guys in the whole story so far have been these like red cloaked figures that they keep like either running into or like seeing the remnants of or the works of, and they've been
except
told
for, like most of the show, like they don't actually end up doing anything evil.
Yeah, there's just like one red cloak who keeps like appearing out of nowhere and spooking them and like saying
pretty much
great things. But then, like, they spook him because he's like, "Where'd you get that umbrella?" And he's like, "Huh? Yeah. She's alive?" And it's like, "Huh?"
It's a lot of huh.
There's a lot of huh. So they've been told that the Red Cloaks were these like super strong wizards that made these super dangerous artifacts, and they've been working for like 35, 40 episodes at this point, trying to stop. They're not like directly interacting with the Red Cloaks, but they're like. They've been told over and over that like this is all the Red Cloaks' fault, all these awful things that they've been trying to stop and prevent. And then at the end of Arc 5, one of the main characters learns that he was a red cloak and he has no memory of this and he doesn't know why and it doesn't make any sense. Like, what?
Yeah.
Huh? And so he goes freaking. You have a beautiful part of the story where he goes like AWOL and is trying to like break up.
Out.
He's trying to figure himself out. He's trying to find out what the Bureau of Balance is hiding.
Yeah.
While the other two players and characters, they're role playing that they still don't know. They don't know what's going on. It's freaking crazy. It's super cool. That's some cool dramatic irony. And then Arc 6, freaking Wonderland, the Suffering game. The Suffering game is just, I wouldn't say it's like
it lives up to its name.
I don't feel like it's that great of like a story. Like there's not a whole lot of like plot to it. It's just suffering. It's just a game show where you hurt a lot. But like because of that, the freaking emotional damage of the Suffering game is so good. And also that's when Griffin McElroy was like, okay, I'm done writing background music for babies. I'm gonna write Wonderland Round 3, and it's like the best song ever written.
Let's go.
So freaking, it's so good.
So good. It is a certified bop.
And the thing with Wonderland Round 3 is all of the music in Balance is very simple. It's all like clearly garage band, like someone without a whole lot of experience.
Yeah.
But it's like musically it's very impressive and good. It's like sound design wise it's very simple. It's nothing like the TAZ Ethersea theme that he would go on to write like 8 years later.
Right.
It's pretty like borderline like MIDI instruments, but it's just like, dang, it's just a bop though. Like this guy's good at writing melodies. He's good at writing freaking
he's got a good head
stuff.
for it.
Yeah. So then the Suffering game and people suffer and it's pretty freaking awesome. And then you have the end of the 6th arc with Arms Outstretched, which is this totally improv beautiful moment that fans freaking adore. It's so good.
Wait. Do I know this? I don't think I've heard this one yet.
So Arms Outstretched is the whole scene. That's the song that plays, and that's what people call like the scene. Arms Outstretched is when Magnus's soul gets he gets like astral projected soul out of his body because the antagonist of the arc.
Scene.
Yeah, the antagonist of the arc is like takes his body, and so he's floating around as like a spirit, and he's scene. Like, because he's a freaking spirit detached from his body, he starts getting like, I don't remember exactly what happens, but he's like gonna get sucked
like
into
the astral plane opens.
Yeah,
and
he's
starts
going to like the afterlife, basically.
And
there should be nothing that they can do about that, but these characters who have been accruing various magical items and trinkets and artifacts and random magic things, they just happen to have like a spell and an item and a couple things that they're able to use to another character like projects himself and like pulls him back. It's
Taako's like not a chance. He blinks into the astral into like the ethereal plane and is like tugging on Magnus, and then like they're not quite making it, and then Merle's like, nice try, recall the dead. He just like reaches out a big old hand in the ethereal plane and pulls them both back in. It's like, it's really cool. It's a good scene,
and it's an incredible scene.
Yeah,
because it's like freaking the beauty of using a system like D&D to tell a story, and like using the mechanics of the game to create tension, and it's just so cool. It makes it so much. It would feel cheap if you were just like watching a show or whatever, and they were just like, we're gonna like do this magic spell that to save him. But no, it's like everything they did is like entirely within the rules of D&D. It's brilliant. It's great. Because stakes are always okay. Maybe this isn't a universal axiom, but stakes are often maybe not higher, but like more concrete when there's like systems in place like that, I feel. in
right,
a story.
Right. You can when you okay, that's where they got that ability.
Yeah, and you can understand what the stakes are and what the means are, and how something worked. World building, what was I going to say? So also, again, another instance of beautiful music, because the music that plays in that scene is, again, very simplistic sounding, very MIDI-like, but it's just like so freaking dramatic and dope. The do 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 do.
Yeah.
And like, it's such a classic song. I love the Arms Outstretched song.
And the cool thing for me, at least, is like I used to listen to the music isolated from the podcast. Like I listened to the music before I'd ever listened to the podcast, because I had a friend who was like, "The Adventure Zone music, it's super dope. You should totally listen to it." And I was like, "Okay, cool, yeah, I will." I did. And I was like, "Oh, this is like really good music." And I listened to it for years before before I actually listened to the podcast. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that song and that song and that song, and everything makes so much more sense now. I don't know, it's a weird experience.
That's crazy that you actually listened to the soundtrack.
It's like I listened to it all. Like I kind of like made up the scenarios around each song. Mm-hmm. And I've been proven wrong every single time. I'm like, dang, I wasn't even close.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
So then what was you going to say?
I was just going to say, because like you see a song title like "No Dogs Allowed on the Moon," and I'm like, I have no freaking clue what that means. And then I listen to the podcast, and I'm like, oh, okay. All right, I see it now.
So then Arc 6 ends, and they go back to the Bureau of Balance, and they're all like, what the frick? Actually, no, they go back to the Bureau of Balance, and Magnus is still in a mannequin. His spirit is still in a mannequin body.
Right, we forgot to mention that. So after he comes
when they
back from the ethereal plane... So the guy that killed him took over his body, because he was a lich. And so Magnus was like, I don't have any body left, and so he goes into a mannequin.
He gets put in a mannequin, and then after they defeat the Lich, he's still in a mannequin. And then
because the other Lich was like, "Screw you! I'm going to destroy your body," and then does it.
Yeah. So then they go back to the Bureau of Balance, and then it's like building up to the climax where the big bad is finally arriving, and it's like, oh no, we have all the artifacts. And then they learn that the 7th artifact, the director of the Bureau of Balance had it the whole time. And she's been lying to them, and there's all these secrets. What's going on? The big secret, the thing that is so brilliant, it's so beautifully simple, the twist, but so brilliant, is that there's a second void fish. And so the first void fish, that was the creature that was like hiding information from the world. And so people didn't remember these artifacts. They didn't remember the wars that were fought over them. So then because of that, the Bureau of Balance could inoculate their members so that they would remember these things. And then they could go and collect the artifacts and stuff. And it was great. It kept the peace, and then they were using that they could inoculate people when they wanted to. The giant twist, the cosmic brain twist, is that all along there was a second void fish that was withholding the main characters, withholding memories of the main characters' like past lives, of things that happened before the story started. And it's so simple, but it's such a freaking good twist.
Oh yeah, no, it's yeah. I very much enjoyed that. That whole twist, it was really good.
Yeah, and then there's also the most like there's so many beautiful things about the Adventure Zone. There's so many like side characters that are A, really really quality, and B, there's there's a lot of emotional payoff for some side characters. Yeah. And there's also a lot of like really silly, ridiculous, or even just clever payoff for some characters. That is like it's just great. And like the way that Magnus gets his body back is the most ridiculous, stupid payoff ever. It's kind of complicated, but it's incredible. It's
the poison fire sword of doom.
Yeah, the flaming, raging, poisoning, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
There's so many good moments in the show. It's so funny. The storekeeper, like throughout the whole show, every so often when they go to the store, they go to Garfield, the Deals Warlock, and there's been like several, like 2 or 3 times where Magnus didn't have enough money to buy what he wanted to, and so Garfield agreed to take some of his blood. And he was the only character that he did that with.
Related at all.
And then they paid that off by... Yes, it's contrived, but it's hilarious that Garfield was using that blood to create a new Magnus body through magical means, and there's never any explanation as to why, so it is like kind of Deus Ex Machina, hey, you get a new body, it's fine, but it's also freaking hysterical that there's no explanation given. And so everything comes to a head. The freaking like Bureau of Balance is about to freaking get destroyed by the big bad that's finally arriving, that has been like teased for a long time. And then everyone gets inoculated with the second Voidfish's ichor, so they start to remember memories that they had lost and things that they had forgotten. And then it's an interesting choice, but the story pauses and goes back, and it goes to the arc where Ryan, you're at now, the Lost Century, where it goes over a literal 100 years that they don't remember.
Because they set it up earlier where it's like, oh, there's this huge chunk of time that none of you can remember and nobody knows why. And so they kind of have to fill in all the blanks.
I forgot about that. Yeah, they like in Arc 5, they like do this thing where they look at like pivotal moments in their lives.
Right.
And
the chalice.
They realize that there's like large spans of time that they don't remember. And so it's like hinted at beforehand.
This entity that should be able to know and see everything about them can't. It's very confused about it, and like nobody knows what's going on. It's cool.
It's really neat, and it's the fact that the existence of a second Voidfish is hinted at really cool, really interestingly.
Yeah,
it's super dope. So then in the Lost Century, they learn that they came from another world, and all these crazy things happened, and they were. I mean, I don't know where in the Lost Century you are, so I won't keep going, but it's really freaking good.
Oh yeah.
And it's oh man, so you learn a lot about like the pasts of these characters, and it's like practically retconning, I guess, but it's not really, because it was built up to like, and it was hinted at, and it's really interesting. And one of the characters has a sister that he's forgotten, and it's amazing.
Yeah, twin sister.
A twin sister. It's really good.
She's all like, the hood? That's not true.
And, oh my gosh. So you don't. So where in the Lost Century are you? Because I need to. I'm going to spoil it. I'm going to spoil this because I need to tell you about the best scene in all of the Adventure Zone.
So I am on chapter. Hang on. Sorry,
how many? How long into the Lost Century? Like, if you say like, episode 56,
or the Stolen Century, that's what it's called.
The Stolen Century.
I'm on chapter. I'm halfway through chapter 6 of 7.
Oh dang! Oh wow! So you're at the end. Okay, well I'm gonna spoil it anyway, even though you could literally hear it if you listen for another hour. So
I hope that my fart didn't just come in through my microphone. I'm kind of scared that it did.
No, I didn't hear anything, but now we all know. Cool. We all know what you did, Ryan.
Well, if it did come through, I'm sorry, and if it didn't, I'm sorry for mentioning it.
So, this is spoilers for you, but the story, obviously, it's going to lead to the point where Lucretia, who is the director of the Bureau of Balance, feeds information to that second Voidfish and makes them forget the moment that they forget everything.
Yes.
And they play out the way. Oh my gosh, it's freaking gut wrenching. So the way that you get to see like 3 different scenes, because you get to see where all 3 of the main characters were at this exact moment when Lucretia enacted this plan and fed their whole lives to like these journals that she'd been keeping. She feeds them to the voidfish, and then they forget so much about themselves. And this is the way that I found the Adventure Zone. I'd like heard of it, but the reason that I started listening to it is because there's like animatics and animations of so many, great moments and scenes, because the internet's a great place and animators do that, and it's super cool. And there is an animatic on the internet called Taako Forgets for this scene. And it's freaking, and like I watched it with totally devoid of context, and I was like, this is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. I have to know what is this, like, where did this, how does the story get to here, what is happening, like, and so that was the sole reason. So yes, this is like, it's one of the like it's a very intense, high emotion scene, totally out of context, and it was enough to make me want to watch it. But and hey, I went into the Adventure Zones with it spoiled, so I'm gonna spoil it for you, even though whatever, because I just want to talk about it. It's so freaking good. So it's so their Taco's sister, who he later forgot, her name is Loop. She's gone missing. They don't they don't know where she is. This group, them and their friends that they forgot. And Barry, who is
Barry Blue Jeans.
Again, freaking brilliant. Barry Blue Jeans is a total joke throwaway character in like episode 2, episode 1. That caught me
so off guard.
And then you learn that he's the main character. He's there. It's so stupid. It's so amazing.
It makes no
the payoff.
Sense.
You learn like 50 episodes later that like, this guy has been Barry Blue Jeans all along, and it's the most ridiculous payoff ever. So Barry becomes the main character, and he's a great character. And in this stolen century, him and Loop, in the past that they've forgotten, him and Loop become really close, and they like fall in love. And so Barry, because Loop has gone missing, Barry's the one who is the most distraught and is the most intent on finding her and searching for her. And so they've been like looking for her for weeks. They don't know what happened. They don't know where she went. And what her fate is also brilliant. It's so clever. It's so good.
I don't know it though. Don't tell me.
Okay. So Barry. So the scene is like Barry and Taako are talking. Barry's like looking over this map, and he's just like heavy. He's weighed down. And Taako, they like talk a bit, like, hey, yeah, maybe I'll look here next.
Yeah.
And then Barry says like Taako, like, what do I do if I don't find her? Like, what do we do? Like, something like that. Like, what do I do if I don't find her?
Yeah.
And there's a pause, and then Justin McElroy playing Taako says, "Who?" And everyone's like, "Oh!"
He says, "Taako, what if she's just gone?"
Who?
He says, Taako, I'm...
What if who's gone?
What are we... Oh, God, Loop. Taako, I can't remember her face, Taako. Taako, where...
Whose face?
And it's like the most brilliant... It's like this freaking improv. It's so good. Like,
that's actually,
of course,
incredible.
They know what this scene is. They know what this scene that they're playing out is. But this is two humans playing characters without. Maybe they passed notes. I'm sure that they knew what this scene was going to be. But like, he times it perfectly. Like, it's freaking incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, he's talking about his sister, and Barry's like, what if I don't find her? And Taako says, who? And Barry starts to freak out and is like, oh my gosh, like, oh my, like, what is happening? Like, I can't remember her face. And then like, I can't remember her name. And Taco's like, who? Whose name? And and Barry is like, Taako, kill me right now, because Barry is a lich, so if he dies, when he dies, he leaves his body, but he keeps all of his memories. So he's just like, Taako, kill me right now. And Taako immediately does, like, kills him with a spell, and he goes like flying, and is falling off the bow of the ship that they're on, and Griffin freaking McElroy is like, Taako, you see him fall over, hit the railing and fall over, and you see like a faint smile on his face as he like spits up blood or whatever. And then as you run to the railing and see him plummet below, you realize that you don't know who that is, and you don't know where you are.
And as his body falls further and further down, you realize you don't know who that is. And as you fall to your knees on the deck of this ship that has served as your home for 100 long years, you realize you don't know where you are, and you don't know how you got here.
And it's like, it's so freaking, it's like, it's so gut-wrenching and intense, and like, it's like, it's hands down my favorite. It's the best scene in all of the Adventure Zone. And you'll get to experience it when you listen to that episode.
Heck yeah.
And gosh, it's just, before listening to the Adventure Zone, I didn't know that these things were possible. Stories like this were possible to tell with freaking improv and tabletop role playing, and it's amazing. It's so cool. It freaking gives me chills.
It's kind of the incredible thing with it. It's like there are tons of moments where it's like, wait a second, these are just a bunch of fools like role playing characters. Like this isn't written, planned dialogue.
Yeah, and it's like
it ends up being so perfect and so good.
And it's like, without breaking character, they are crafting these beautiful moments and these beautiful scenes.
Yeah.
Without like, it's not like anyone's like, oh, you should say this next. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so good.
It's just like, oh, this sounds funny and like something my character would say, and they do it. Would highly recommend.
That was like emotionally draining.
Yeah.
To like, I've just been talking for like 30 minutes about really good stuff. It's so good.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorite stories of all time.
Yeah, no, I love the Adventure Zone. Love the Adventure Zone.
Yeah, and someday in the freaking distant future, I'll make a super granular summary of it. And it'll be great.
A 3-hour long video essay.
After my 12-hour video essay on Homestuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, how's that coming along?
Well, I haven't finished the Psycholonials one yet, and that's...
Oh. How's that
I haven't worked on it in a while, but the script is like 40 pages, so it's a lot.
Oh, freak. Yeah.
And I'm not done, so...
Yeah.
I have more to write about. Anyway, holy frick.
Have you tried having ChatGPT write it for you?
No, because I don't want to do that. It's dumb.
But think about all the money you can make.
But ChatGPT is for writing things that you don't want to write, and this is something I do want to write.
But the money from all those subscribers.
Oh, you're right. It'd make a lot of subscriber money. You're right.
Yeah.
Speaking of video essays, and writing. Over this weekend, I was my wife and I were at a family reunion for my family, and it was fun. It was like whole big gathering, fun family reunion. Got to talk to cousins I haven't seen in ages, and I learned that one of my cousins actually does a lot of she does a ton of writing, specifically freaking fan fiction, and she's really good at it and has written a ton and there's literally more than 100,000 people who have read her stuff on the internet, and it's like, wow, damn, that's really cool.
Okay.
And
so she knows her stuff.
Yeah, like she does it a lot, and she's good at it. And we talked about her miraculous ladybug fanfics. It was freaking great. It made me think about writing, about like creative writing, fiction writing, because I love fiction writing, but I like can't get myself to do it. I feel like you probably relate to this, because I know that you want to do fiction writing. I know you've tried your hand at it.
I have. I suck at it, but I've tried it.
For me, it's just hard to do it, to motivate myself to do it. I don't know. There's a lot of creative things I do in my life, and that one usually falls lower, at least recently.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
The time in my life that that I did do the most fiction writing I've ever done in my life, which Ryan is very familiar with, is I was a part of an original character tournament like a year ago, and I wrote the most I've ever written in my life. I wrote like 25,000 words
They
for
were
that.
all beautiful.
I'm in most of them.
Romantically beautiful. They were all romantically beautiful.
Robot kiss.
Robot kiss.
I was writing a robot, and I was writing him meeting
He was writing
another
a robot
robot, and Ryan was very, very intent on me making them kiss. It was really funny.
It was important to me spiritually, emotionally, physically.
I've never, so outside of that original character tournament, I've never written like that before, and I've never written that much since, and I want to. And the recipe, I think, the reason that worked is because there was it's a tournament. So you and another writer both write your characters. In this case, it was like you write your characters fighting and like meeting and fighting and interacting, and then whoever writes better wins the round, kind of thing. And so there's a competitive nature to it. I while writing, I knew that I would instantly have a highly supportive audience. I would have at least one person who's excited to read what I wrote because it has their character in it. And everybody wants to see how other people write something that they made up. And also, it was just a super nice group of random internet strangers who would just shower praise and adoration on each other all the time, because it's like it's just fun. It's like, dang, you wrote this, it's so good, oh my gosh. So the combination of having like instant praise and an instant audience, and also a deadline, and someone I was specifically writing against and for, in like writing,
Counting on you to finish,
you know,
this.
yeah. All of that added up to I wrote a lot, and I wrote a lot very quickly. Like, I only wrote like 2 full rounds, and both times I procrastinated until like the week week of the deadline, and I wrote like the whole thing in a week, and it was like 10,000 words each. And I've never done that since. I can't get myself to do that. So I've been trying to figure out how to capture this lightning in a bottle. One approach is to freaking sit on my hands and wait for the members of this little group to start another one, because the one that I did finished, they started another one. I wasn't interested in it because it was basically like The Bachelor. So it was more like there was still, you could still write whatever you wanted, but it was inherently focused on like romance and stuff. And I was like, A, I'm not interested in writing that. B, I'm not interested in reading what the other people have to write because some of them can be explicit. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit this one out and go write music and do other creative things. But especially recently, and like the last week, I've been really itching to write again. And I think part of it is like, I've been like checking in like once a month to see how the like dating writing tournament was going, and it's like it like barely finished. It's like finally done. So I'm just sitting over here shouting into the Discord channel every week or so, being like, hey, does anyone know when the next one's going to be? What's the next one going to be? Like, please, I hope it's not dating. I hope it's something I'm excited to write about. And because also I'm just familiar with these internet strangers, and I like them and they're fun. Right. But anyway, the reason all this was on my mind is because it was like last night that I was talking to my cousin and learned about all of her fan fiction and her writing and stuff. And it was, one, it was cool to hear her talk about it, like very, like super genuinely and sincerely. Like she just loves to do it, you know? Yeah. And was like really passionate. That's the word. Really passionate about these characters from all these different friggin' animes and TV shows or whatever the heck she writes about. And just really passionate about talking about them in like freaking coffee shop AUs or Hogwarts AUs. And it's like, okay, wow, this is very genuine. And my wife was like, I was like, hey, maybe like that's like I've never written fan fiction, but it helps with it gives you a lot of shortcuts in writing,
Right.
you know. And
Right.
I've thought of that before, but I've never like I've always been too prideful, honestly, to write fan fiction
Same.
because it's like, oh, it's lesser. Oh,
There's a stigma around it.
there's a stigma. Yes, that's the word. And but my wife pointed out, like, that's not very far from what you do with your video essays. And I was like, huh? No, it's totally different. Because I'm like writing analysis and stuff. And then I was like, I paused for a second and I was like, with how deeply I'm getting into psycholonials in order to write this video essay about it, I could totally write fan fiction. I could guarantee I could think of some situation or circumstance to write about these characters that I think are really some of these characters I think are very interesting and very cool, and it'd be fun to explore that. So now I just need I need an audience, and I need instant gratification and praise.
I can be your delayed gratification audience.
I have you, and I also have, my cousin offered, because she was like, I was like, I want to read your stuff. And she was like, yeah, send me anything you write. So
yeah,
maybe the secret is I have to try my hand at fan fiction.
That's right. That's the key.
And with an
that's
open
the key
mind,
to succeeding in life.
It is.
Fan fiction.
One of the characters in Psycholonials is, she writes like BTS / fiction. I don't know. There's a word for that. There's a word for writing
K-pop stars?
Yes, there's a word.
What?
There's a word for writing fan fiction about real people. I don't know what that word is, but
Smut?
she writes that about the members of BTS. Not smut. Let's be honest, probably.
Yeah.
Can't keep those steamy boys off of each other.
I mean, their skin is just so creamy and smooth.
Gross. Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to go on a little fan fiction adventure with me, you should write fan fiction with me.
I mean, I was about to say I'm down. I don't know if I'm actually down.
That's okay.
I
still am not sure if I am.
But I will consider it. Okay, this is super embarrassing, but I'm gonna make myself vulnerable here on the podcast. I used to watch the anime Fairy Tail. I thought it was really good. I could totally write a fan fiction about that, but I never will because I'd feel like it's too cringe.
Well, here's what you do.
If we ever do this,
there's two approaches. There's two ways. Maybe there's two schools of thought. There's definitely more than two, but there's two that I just came up with. One is the school of thought, which is when I write, I need instant praise and instant. I need instant praise. The other school of thought, which is the one that other people seem to be able to do, but I've never been able to do, is this is my deep dark secret, and I will write tens of thousands of words about these blessed characters, and I will never tell a soul, and I will never show a soul, and no one will ever read it, and that's fine.
See, the thing is, like, I'd never considered actually doing that, but like, I think about that. I think about myself typing the words, and I think about somebody stumbling upon it in my hard drive, and just being like, I didn't write that. I don't know how that got there.
Think about the people in your life who could stumble upon that, and think about, they were like, oh, you wrote this 150,000 word epic about these anime characters? No one is going to be like, okay, no one who is a decent person, no one who's really your friend would be like, oh my gosh, you're so weird. If I saw that, I'd be like, I have so much respect for you. How did you do this? Like, this is an incredible feat. I don't care what it's about. That's so genuine. And two, you just wrote all this stuff. That's amazing. I feel like anybody who saw that would provide, what's the validation? If I learned that you secretly had written pages upon pages of anime fan fiction, I would have even more respect for you than
I would vomit. I would vomit. I'd be dead. I'd be deceased.
There's the problem is I said, like, oh, you can write stuff that no one will ever see ever until your grave. But one person who will see it is your, like, internal editor and your internal You.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not even. I don't know. It's like not even.
We're going to vulnerable places on this episode.
I would be more embarrassed to have state secrets on my computer hard drive. Or I'd be less embarrassed to have state secrets on my hard drive than I would to have an anime fan fiction, specifically fairy tale.
You would rather be like, you'd rather be like tried for treason than be caught having written anime fan fiction.
Yes, 100%. Yes, unironically, that's it. That's the case. That's the truth of the matter.
Okay, I get it.
Nothing against people who write anime fan fiction, but like I can't bring myself to do it. It's like I don't know, because like I rarely talk about how I watch anime because like it's like because I don't really, but like I don't know. I feel really weird about it, and like I don't know how to put it into words, but I don't want anybody finding this out. And now the entire internet knows. Just kidding. Probably like 5 people on the internet know.
5 of our closest friends probably is all.
Oh, freak. That makes it worse, actually. Everything I said in the last 10 minutes was all a joke. It's not. It was all
it was just, we were just riffing for content.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought it would be funny. I was wrong. It wasn't funny.
So if you thought it was funny, who would be your favorite fairy tale character?
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
But if you thought it was funny, just like riffing, just like a joke.
Oh,
who's your favorite fairy tale character?
Probably the fairy with the tail. I don't know. I don't know what that. I don't know what you're talking about, Jason. I'm sure that's in the anime.
All right.
So how's the weather? Weather's been nice.
Weather's been good, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to stoop that low. I can't even bring myself to say it. I can't even bring myself to say it.
Say it, Ryan.
It's
say
too
it.
deep of a place. It's too deep. I've buried it far, Jason. It needs to stay there. It needs to stay buried.
Step. The first step is acknowledging that you have a problem. No, the first step is, you just got to rip the Band-Aid off. If you open a word processor, write the character's name, and write a verb, and then hit a period, and now you've written fan fiction. And then write a sentence that's 4 words. And then, this is actually good advice for myself. Write hot garbage. Okay, not like hot like that, you gross. Don't write that.
Yeah, no, pass. I know lots of people who would be into that, but pass.
This is a weird episode of this podcast.
I don't know. This seems pretty good
on
to me.
Brand for us.
Loving this one. So good. Love that all my deepest, darkest secrets about anime are being exposed by my own hand. I really
you
have no
think that
myself.
watching anime is your deepest, darkest secret?
Yes. It's because it is.
Dang, you should work for the government because this guy is squeaky clean over here.
My Deepy Darkies are anime.
Hashtag Deepy Darkies. Oh my gosh. Incredible.
It's not Sue, okay? There, I said it. Are you happy?
I am happy. Let me just Google.
Because I'm not. I immediately regretted that.
Not Sue. Oh, that's just the main guy.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I think he's dope.
He looks very emo in this picture. I just Googled him, and look, nice.
He's
nice
not
pink-haired boy.
What
is Fairy Tale about?
So basically, Fiorio, that's Fior Kingdom, because I've watched this show so much in high school. Like, I don't watch it now, but I've seen like every episode of this show, so I really enjoyed it. So you got this universe where there are wizards that do magic and stuff. It's not like wand magic so much,
like Harry Potter.
No, not anything like Harry Potter. It's like the magic is like a part of them, so to speak. So it's like if you do fire magic, you like breathe fire or you punch things with fire, like that sort of thing. Like Naruto, I've never actually seen Naruto, so I can't I can't speak.
Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
But anyways, and it's just you have this most wizards are in what's called a guild, which is just like a group of wizards where they get jobs that people are like, hey, I need like this crazy guy taken care of. Please help.
Okay.
And then the wizard will be like, all right, I got you, no problem. And then it just like it follows this guild called Fairy Tale, that goes around, solving these problems, and there's a lot of character development. I feel like they bounce well off each other. Anyways,
nice.
It's a very shonen anime. Like it's very It's very that. It's like I'm not saying like it's a masterpiece of media, because it's not. But it's an enjoyable show to watch.
It's got some good characters, got some good development.
Yes,
got some good world building.
It's like good world building. It's got some really good moments, strong character moments.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things drag on for a long time, but that just kind of comes with the territory. I feel like
shonen
like,
does.
Like some arcs just kind of like take forever, and it's like, man, this could have been over like a month ago. But
nice.
Anyways, I feel like a weight's been lifted.
Exactly. don't you feel liberated?
I feel gross. I hope nobody I know listens to this podcast.
Hey, I mean, you may have watched it, but I mean, it's not like you've written any fan fiction, right? I mean, you're fine.
Right. Yes.
I'm
just kidding. I actually haven't written any fan fiction. If I were, it would be about that, because, like a high school kid, you have nothing better to do but be like, man, I'd be cool if I had magic powers like that.
Mm.
This was high school me. This isn't now me. High school's behind me. It's like 80 years ago now.
But, like, don't you wish that you just wrote a bunch of anime fan fiction in high school? Because, like, you can knock people who wrote a bunch of anime fan fiction in high school, but gosh dang if they haven't written a lot more than I have.
You know what, Jason? Yeah, I wish I had. Yeah, you made me say it. Congratulations. Aren't you proud of yourself? Don't you feel good about what you've done?
This is a podcast called Ryan and Jason Talk About Things. That's all the time we have. That's all we need. This was 55 minutes of me working on getting that confession out of you. I worked. My ways are subtle and sleuthful, subtle, but it worked. I got you to say it. I have it on recorded. You'll hear from the police soon, and my lawyer.
I have nothing more to say to you.